Order number 22-18511, it's the reappointment of George LaFrencher for the Planning Board for a 5-year term to expire February 1st, 2027. Mr. George, we can have you please come up to the well so we can have a little chat. How are you today?
Well, how are you?
Doing great, thank you. Thank you for coming in tonight. So we're just gonna chat. So you've been on the planning board already. So we're reappointing. So you just want to tell us a little about yourself and why the planning board and why another term?
Sure. I have been a resident of Marlborough since 1995. Had owned a business for 15 years, retired from IT about 7 years ago, and had done well. And I'm looking at this as one way of giving back to the community that my family and I love and have really enjoyed living in. My son went here to Marlborough High School. He loved it. It gave him a great foundation for college and what he's doing down in New York City right now. So it really is about just giving back to the community and trying to help.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll open up for questions for committee. And Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. George, you said you had a business before. What was the business?
Trinity Consulting, IT consulting company. We did database designs, messaging system designs, that sort of thing. Worked with Fortune 500 companies, Microsoft. Did a lot of work for Fidelity when they were here. Actually, worked with Digital when they were here, and Compaq, and a lot of fun. You know, there's different chapters in people's lives. That was one chapter for me, and you know, it was kind of time in my mind to move on.
So I also come from an computer technology background. How did you see, when you're going to the planning board, that background help you with the planning board? What issues that come up with the planning board?
That is a really good question, Counselor. I think first being able to analyze data and information as you do when you're doing discovery as a consultant, and you know, being able to put together, you know, link ideas and events, and look at things like regulations and legislation, and understanding the impact that that has on what you're trying to do, you know, is very similar to what I had to do in IT as we were looking at. If we're looking for a financial establishment, of course, there's a lot of regulatory and legislative criteria that they have to follow. You know, we work with nonprofits such as Advocates Inc., and there was certainly HIPAA and other regulations that we had to follow there. So I think it helped.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Nathan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. George, I don't really have any questions. I just want to just say thank you for the amount of time that you put into this. I've had the opportunity to attend plenty of the planning board meetings. I'm not sure people realize how important the planning board is, you know, much like the Conservation Commission. You know, this is work that goes, you know, on kind of behind the scenes. The amount of work that you guys put into making sure that developments and buildings are done in accordance with how they are required to be in the city, and protecting our neighborhoods and making sure that those continue. The amount of time you guys spend on sidewalks on each side of the street, and you know, where curbs go and which trees can get taken down and whatnot. You know, it sounds like the minutia, but what it does is create a cohesive community, and so really appreciate the work that you've done. So thank you for your service, and thank you for being willing to give back. It's incredibly important. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor, and I think it's important to the board, and I would like to turn around and thank you as well. It's important for those of you that have attended our meetings as well. That really is valuable to us, and we appreciate the time that you, as busy counselors and professionals, put in for that as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll open up to any other questions. Councilor Paulman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to echo the sentiments and appreciate all of your service on the planning board. We know that it is really the lifeblood of a lot of the development in the city, and My question is sort of, I guess, two-part. I'm curious, what are some of the highlights from the last term? 5 years, obviously, is a long time on the planning board. And, what are some things that maybe you all are most proud of that you were able to work on? And then looking ahead to the next 5 years, what are some things that you all are continuing to push forward?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Counselor. I think if you look most recently, as I know you're all aware, I was part of the subdivision working group where we reevaluated all of the rules that had not been looked at, the planning board regulations since the very early 90s, and working certainly with Mr. Russ, who's a member of the board, and also with the engineering staff. Just to bring them up to date, just from a technical perspective, as Councilor Doucette perhaps had been alluding to come to new current engineering standards, but also to do things such as be a little more perhaps environmentally respective as we look at trees and how do we want to handle trees, and are there certain trees and open space areas that we feel or that we might believe would be beneficial for the city to maintain, not only as climate changes a bit, and that's certainly going to be needed, but also to make the development itself a much more habitable spot rather than purely just going in and clear cutting. So I would say working on that was a very valuable and rewarding experience. And I think just working with the other board members and helping folks try to fix issues that they needed to have fixed. We had a number of key people come to before us where they had structures built on boundary lines, and now as they're looking to go and sell a piece of property, how is that going to impact it and hold it up, and how would we be able to help them as they work amongst themselves to shift a little bit of land here and a little bit of land there, so that now that can be cleaned up and you can have a clear sale. I think that's important to us. We had, maybe one last example, if you don't mind, we had a case before us not too long ago where there had been some real vehement disagreement, some opponents that really didn't want a particular subdivision to go through, and a number of things there. They really didn't understand the by right concept, and that they were actually being given in some way a little better deal than they would have gotten by right. So the board was really able to sit back and take some time and make sure they were clear in, hey, this is what could really be done. You're being offered this. You're getting a little bit of a better deal. What do you think? And I think they left feeling better about that, and I think the proponents left feeling better about that as well. So, in a way, being able to help people kind of come to a good conclusion that they can still be good neighbors, I think there's real value in that.
Well, thank you so much. I can already tell, from your answers just how much the planning board is doing, and I'm glad that more people are being educated about the work that you all are continuing forward. So thank you so much. We're excited to have you to be reappointed.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Councilor Roby?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have questions either. I just want to echo some of the positive comments. I know the City Council does send items up to the Planning Board for your input, and I think the Council being able to be there to listen to those is very important as far as I'm concerned. I think it is, but I just want the Council to know that I think Mr. LaVenture is one of the ones, because sometimes the Planning Board members will be very quiet or very short in their comments, either negative or positive, and I always look to you to have a lot of things to say. Sometimes I don't agree with you, but at least you do your homework and you do input. And I also agree that I don't know that the public understands. I know I didn't even know what an A&R was the first meeting that I went to. So I find going to the planning board the only way to know about a subdivision that's going to go in the city, because it's not really anything that the council has to do with, and there's no other real body within the city that's your job. So it is, I'm thrilled that you're wanting to stay on and that the mayor's sending you down for nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Much appreciated.
Last call. If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve George LaVenture to 5-year term on the planning board enthusiastically.
The motion has been seconded, so any other further discussions? If not, all in favor? 3-0. Thank you, George.
Thank you very much.
You have a wonderful day. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And that has been seconded. Any other further discussions on adjourning? If not, all in favor? Has been approved, 3-0, 6-12, we are adjourned. Thank you.